Hello, I'm Yvette Jar Hawkins. We're in my home studio at the moment and I'm a paper artist and I work across sculpture and installation, and one of the things I do is I make paper flowers, and what I wanted to do today is share with you a free tutorial on how you can make your own paper sunflower. You don't need much equipment, just some scissors and some glue, and then I've even got a downloadable printable template, so you can just print that out and then cut out all of the shapes, and they're the right sizes and everything. So I hope you'll enjoy this tutorial. So this is what we're going to make in this tutorial. It's all made out of paper and you don't need much equipment at all to make it. So all we need is some scissors, some glue and a paper clip for this activity. Now I'm using this, which is called tacky glue. You can use PVA. The reason I'm using this is because it dries a lot quicker. So PVA dries quite quickly as well, but what's a good idea is to wait until it goes a little bit tacky, and then you can the petals will stick down a little bit further. Okay, so these are all of the pieces we need for the sunflower. So these are in your template. You've got two sizes, small petals and then larger petals, and you need 11 of each of these. So each one of these, there's 11 pieces. And then there's two shades of brown that I'm using for the center, just to get that gradient look. I've got a lighter brown and a darker brown, and these are all cut at 6 centimeter height, and I've used an A4 sheet of paper, which is 29.5 centimeters across, but just get an A4 piece of paper and sort of cut down your 6 centimeters. And then I've also got a paper circle, which is in your template. If you want, you could also use a paper plate. And I've put a hole in the center there, and we're going to make that hole a little bit bigger later on, but it's just good that when you start to glue everything, to know that where that hole is, that the center hole is. Okay, so there's all your pieces. So you need to cut all of those out before we begin. So the first thing that you want to do is take all of your petals, so get them all out here, and we're just going to fold them all in half, and we're going to create a little bit of structure. And just take a pencil once you've folded it in half, and then just sort of pull the end, and what you'll see is it'll add a little bit of shape to it. You can sort of, I like to prepare all the petals in advance first, and then tweak it at the end, because sometimes they'll lose their shape a little bit as you go through. Okay, so do that with everything. Okay, so here's what you've got. You've got all the pieces have been folded like this, and they're all ready to go. So just sort of moving them up the top there, and then get your circle, and we're going to start gluing it together. So I've got my glue, and with the one that I made before, I start at the back. We're starting at the back first, so you can kind of see where it's been glued. And I started with a bright yellow first, and then alternated with the darker yellow all the way in. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so start with a bright yellow, and then I'm just going to glue just this edge bit here like that. And I'm just going to pop it sort of on the edge. Like that. And then the next one, I'm gonna have that joined that point sort of joined there. And then when it comes to that one, that'll kind of overlap in the middle, so you won't see that join. And I'll just go all the way around. And now I'm just going to go around the middle, but I'm going to bring it down a little bit to about there. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to do these ones next and go in between these bits here, all the way around, and then always going down a little bit to close in that center gap. So the last one are these ones. Now this circle here is about the size that I want it, so I don't want to come down too far. I'm going to just sort of, when I go and glue them in the center, I'm going to stay at the level that these first yellow ones are. Okay, so the last bit is doing the center, and as you can see, it's like super detailed. So it looks more like a sunflower, and I could have gone a bit further out because usually the centers are quite big compared to the petals, but I'm just going to show you how to do that. This is probably the trickiest bit, and it does take a bit of time, but I would say don't rush it and take your time because it will be worth it by the end. Like, your sunflower will look really great. So we've got your brown, these are going to be your centers, and essentially we're just going to fringe. We're going to cut all the way along here really finely, not right to the ends, and then I'll show you how we work that out later. So I've got two of the dark brown and then two of a lighter brown because I want the center to be really dark, and then I want it to fade into the yellow. So what I tend to do is, because it is quite time consuming, I'll take two pieces together. So I'll do the chocolate ones first, and then I'm just going to pop a little clip on to keep them in place, and then I'm just going to get the scissors and just start fringing about that amount. Now I want to go really super fine. This is what takes all the time, because you just get so much more detail when you do super fine fringes. You could do a much coarser one if you wanted to save time, and there would be nothing wrong with that, but personally I think the more realistic it looks, the better. So that's about as fine as I want to go, and I'm just going to carry on cutting. Don't worry if bits fall off, sometimes it's quite nice, it becomes more sort of grass-like. That's what the kind of thing I'm looking for. And then don't worry about this bit up here too much. Like, it doesn't really matter if that's all even, but just sort of roughly, you want quite long things. And then what we end up doing is, once we've attached it, we give it a bit of a trim, we give it a bit of a haircut. So they might not be this long to begin with, but it's actually a lot easier to work with longer pieces than sort of really short pieces. So once you've got that, that's what we're looking for. And then what we want is to sort of curl them a little bit so that they're kind of coming off in a direction. And what I tend to do is use a pencil again. And sort of curl them back that way. Sometimes you can just use your nail to get the odd one to curl. And they'll sort of like go into that sort of direction. And you just do it all the way along. What you want to do is you want to hold it, have your thumb there and holding it so that if you had it here, sometimes it can tear off. But if it's there, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so here are all of the fringed rectangles of paper, and the next thing to do, so I just like to get some paper to protect my work surface. What we're going to do then is we're going to roll these around like this, so it'll go in a circle, sort of like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue along here so it all stays together. And you just want to kind of roll it. So it all sticks together. Like that. It's better to work from this side. Okay, so now that I've got that, I'm going to give the dark areas a bit of a trim with the scissors. So you can see more of the brown underneath. Just go around. Just take off whatever you think. There, and I'm just going to trim a little bit of the lighter brown as well, so I get more of a circle. we go, and that's all going to be our centre. It's going to pop in there, and I'll just show you how to attach it. So now I just need to attach that in here, and what I like to do is I just like to cut a hole, widen that hole around where it's all white with the scissors, and I'm going to just pop it through and glue it down. So you don't have to be like super neat with this. Just needs to be big enough so that your stalk will fit through. You can use a scalpel as well if you find that a bit easier, but I've got scissors, so I'm just going to do it this way. It does not have to be neat at all. Yeah, so you've got that, and then that's just going to pop in there. Like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue around it so that this paper sticks to it so it doesn't go anywhere. So that's what I'm going to do now. Just a bit of glue. And then I'm just going to squish that through just like I did before. And just sort of hold it down. And then, so that's going to sit quite nicely. That's the finished sunflower.